How's Grae feeling?
I think good. I haven't spoke to him today about it, after rehab, but from hearing from Josh, certainly moving, in the right direction. When? How? Is that what you're going to ask?
No, I was going to ask, do you think it's very similar to what happened, I guess, exactly
Very
a year
similar.
ago?
I think very similar. And it happened within a couple days of it, when it happened last year. So, all the prognosis says, that's what it'll be, a week or two. And I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but, the hope is that he'll be ready for opening day.
How was your pitching, Mike, in the intra-squads?
We've actually pitched it better this past weekend. I thought overall as a staff we commanded it much better than we did. The first weekend was kind of 50-50. I thought about half the guys pitched it well, the other half kind of struggled in the strike zone. This weekend, more guys jumped on board with that, and I think saw success.
Which guys do you think jumped on board the most noticeably?
I thought Gracie pitched better. Phillips had the best outing, since he's been here, and I thought was super dominant. Those guys probably stick out the most. Miller, pitched well for 2 weekends in a row, and that's been kind of a bright spot, this spring. Nikhazy didn't have his best first weekend, but yesterday pitched really, really well and looked much like the guy he pitched this fall.
I know it's pretty obvious, but when Grae suffers like a minor injury, whatever it is, like he did, the benefit of having Servideo and his versatility, that's a really important thing for you guys.
You never want to lose one of the big parts, right? And for even a game. But I think that's one of the things when you have depth, you have really good players. That's one of the things that makes you feel a little bit better if you had to start opening day without him. Certainly we're a much better team with him. But if something happens, which happened last year, SEC tournament, championship game, and a couple times throughout the season where he tweaked a hamstring or whatnot, we felt pretty good that we could have somebody else who could step in and do the job.
Small sample size, and I know just stats, but Fowler looks more like himself maybe on the stat sheet than the fall or last summer.
Fowler?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought Fowler pitched well, and he's another one where strike percentage I think is key for him, and he's I think getting stronger, and I agree with you. Very similar to the way he pitched last year about this time.
Are you getting a better idea of the weekend spots behind Will, or is that still pretty fluid?
I would say it's still pretty fluid. I mean, I think we want to get through this next weekend before we start, naming names. I think that the names haven't changed. I think everybody knows, who's in the running, and that's good. I mean, I don't necessarily look at that as a bad thing. If it was so cut and dry, you wouldn't have the depth, that Ben was talking about, and so I think that's a good thing.
How's Leposer coming along?
Good. He it seems like each week he's able to do something different. Last 2 weeks ago, he's throwing and hitting full speed. So he's been hitting all along. Just hadn't hit live because he can't run yet, and started catching for the first time. They didn't want him in that position for too long, but was warming up pitchers in the bullpen. So I would be surprised if he wasn't playing, this weekend in inter-squad games in at least some capacity.